All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Second town board meeting for the month, Tuesday, August 26th, 6 p.m. Town Hall. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the August 12th, 2014 town board meeting.
We don't have hard copies in our packet, but did anyone else see the emailed copy?
Actually, I did read it, but I can't remember, so we can table that. We can table it, yes, we
Okay.
can. Make a motion to table, Patty?
Yes, I'll make a motion to table the approving the minutes of August 12th for the next town board meeting.
Second by Kathy.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm an aye, by the way. Sometimes I forget to say that. All right, item 2 is discuss replacement of service doors at fire stations. We have 2 more doors that I have mentioned to Patty that were sand shape. Did everybody had a chance to take a look at the doors? And you know the condition of the south door, correct? The door to the west, that's one that seems to hang up and not always lock. As you're well aware of, we did overexpend already the maintenance or the repair budget, capital outlay budget for buildings this year. We discussed it at within Patty's lead on the meeting. We did make a decision, and it was discussed we'll bring it to the board to address it as we are going to be over budget if we do the doors. However, if you looked at them, I don't know what else other choice we really have. The town budget as a whole may or may not be over budget. We won't know that until primarily December 31st. But certainly this line would be over budget. Funds could be removed from, moved to it from the reserves, or we could wait to determine if other lines from other budgets came in under, we could move funds there. But I think the preferred source is to, if we are going to do it, as to identify the source of the funding. Is that correct?
I would rather have it identified as a capital expenditure and have funds from someplace.
Okay. Discussions, please.
So the first quote on top, that total cost of $1,884, that's for both doors.
That is the installation. Which were you looking at? The FRP?
Rebuilding and
Rebuilding is for the installation and some of the hardware.
Okay.
The FRP is for the actual doors built to our specification, which is for the Bear 2,580. So then you have the, what Lee cost was 1,800.
yeah, so you'd add them together.
Right.
Oh,
So
so it's
each
together,
door-
this
yes.
is not competitive bids.
Each door
Okay.
costs $22.32 for the door. And utilizing the old hardware with that.
Okay.
$44.64.
For the both together.
That's with utilizing the hardware?
Yes.
Some of the hardware, they didn't want to use hinges. Obviously, hinges and hinge pins, those tend to wear anyway. But they would be using the breaker bar and the door lock mechanism and the return closures on top. They'd be using those over. Bill?
Well, it'd be a matter with a kick plate type thing on it. What would that hurt?
Well, it's obviously that there's movement in the door frames, at least the indication do that the door frames are in the same state of repair. Obviously, you can put a metal cover over it and cover it, but that's really only a cosmetic repair. It's not a door repair.
One of my concerns is that we currently have this type of door that's the quote on the municipal building. It hasn't gone through a winter yet. I guess the installer is going to be looking at a different type of seal to go around the door, because the door you can actually see daylight yet coming through, and they said that's probably the best type of seal that can happen with this. I myself would like us to be able to wait until next spring and observe what a winter actually does with these type of doors.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
understand that. We do have knowledge of it. Bill, what's the county's experience with them? I know they're on the county garages,
Oh,
right?
I don't know. I've never seen them. I mean, I'm not even on that committee.
Okay, you don't get out to the county garage at all? Okay, then I can't ask you the question.
So if we wait and the doors deteriorate more in the condition that they're currently in, are we able to install midwinter, or is that going to pose a problem for us?
You wouldn't want to do midwinter because you got about an 8-hour job to install, take the lights out,
Doors.
fill them,
Each
reset them. Each door is about 8 hours worth of labor. About right, Mel, from what it,
Yeah, it took them a full day, and then they actually had to come back a second day to, I think, caulk the outside and
Right.
just put the finishing touches on a few hardware things they adjusted and stuff.
Yeah,
but-
they readjusted it and did the caulking.
Right.
There's caulking involved in it also.
yep. So to do it in cold weather is not a normal thing to do.
Right.
I believe also from our experience, our knowledge, I think we were told when we were looking at these, that also the Pecosa Fire Department has them on their doors. Is that correct, Chief? Correct. So it's not as if FRP composite doors is something new. Grand Rapids Space Company has built these doors for quite a while already.
My concern would be is why did we do this door then if we had that same concern? I
Oh, I
would
did
hope
not
that-
know about the concerns until actually looking at the door here being installed.
Okay. So you're,
Sort of like hindsight's
It's
20/20 type thing.
the seal around the door that concerns you the most? Is
Right.
that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think Mr. Lee had an email that I believe I forwarded to Patty. I might be wrong because I've got some computer trouble at home. Indicated that he had new seals and he was going to install those shortly.
Right, and I spoke with him back, I think it was in June, where he had mentioned about that too, and currently hasn't done that yet, so I did not know if that was still going.
Do you think he could install those seals before our next town board meeting and we could visually look at that? And if that is the primary concern that Patty has, then we could move forward at September's town board meeting?
Right, and another concern is, of course, going over budget. I just don't feel good about putting everyone in a predicament of saying, yes, let's go ahead and, go over budget on a particular item. And that's my two concerns, so.
I've been a concern from going over budget on everything, but at some point in time, you have to, in my mind, you have to look at what is a necessity. And a door that is rusted out, and if you haven't seen the pictures, the bottom is pretty well rusted right through on that door, and it looks pretty pathetic for a professional building. To me, the south door, the east door does not lock sometimes when it shuts. We believe there's movement in the door frame that's causing that. So we end up with issues there. We have that issue is that sometimes that may cause that door not to be locked when you think it's locked as you go out. Everybody should stop and pull the handle again as you go out, but you don't always go off at a slight space. You might be rolling out quick, and I just can't overlook some things that I believe are necessities to repair. Just because we might go over budget on our total budget, when we're sitting with contingencies that are above our minimum 500,000 that we try to keep, the money is there. It's not as if this town doesn't have the funds that would have to borrow for these doors or anything.
How does the price of these doors compare to a traditional door that's on there? And when was the last time those doors over there were replaced, or are they the original doors?
Probably, can't tell you that.
I believe both of them have been replaced once throughout the course of the building's life, and that's almost 30 years now. So, and the originals were replaced, so you're getting about 15 years at the most out of them.
On a door. And I
The
think,
frames have never been replaced.
yeah, I think, didn't, at one time, didn't we have them taken into a local body shop and have them redone? Or didn't we? I don't know, I'm just trying to,
No, I don't think so. I know Valley replaced them, and then they came out and repainted them because the paint faded and a bunch of
okay,
stuff.
maybe that was it, maybe that's what I'm thinking. And what's the price difference between a regular conventional door that they have and these fiberglass ones?
Actually, I didn't ask for prices for steel doors because being in an outdoor situation, I felt if we're gonna expend the money once, we might as well spend it right and be done with it. This fiberglass door will last for eons. The frame being fiberglass too. It's not a 15-year repair, it's one and done.
I guess personally, I wouldn't mind tabling this for our next meeting. See if we can get that seal replaced. I'd like to go down to Nakusa, talk to them, ask them about the doors, and bring it up at that time. See if they, obviously if they would've had any issues, I think they would've told us, but I'd like to see them.
That's a conversation that I believe was had with the chief, and the chief is when we inquired about these doors, he said they were well satisfied with it. I did talk to county commissioner, and he said the doors were fine. So if you want to table it, make the motion and let's be on with it.
I'll make the motion, we table it to the next meeting. To, like I said, look at the seals and further research.
I'll second it.
Motion bad, second. Patty, any further discussion? I'm sorry, motion to table doesn't require discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Aye, I am opposed too. All right, so kick that down the road. All right, item 3 is discuss mechanical repairs to engine 1, ladder 1, and tanker trucks. Obviously, we just got done with our annual HWA inspections on the trucks, and some deficiencies were noted. Some are related to springs, some are related to rust. One is expensive. So if you'd like to go through these one at a time, do you have the document in front of you? E1 is the 19, engine 1 I should call it then, it's 1999 Pierce. Failed the DOT for exhaust leaks under the collab flex pipe area. Non-DOT issues were fuel tank severely rusted, air tank moderately rusted, sections of exhaust quite rusty, foam leaks, hose to drain, valve connectors, right and left pump panels were inoperative. I believe the exhaust was taken care of on this one, or is that the tanker it was? Okay, well, this one has not been addressed at all. Did we get a repair quote from E1? Okay, flip to the second page, that's where that is. The email indicates fuel tank and air tanks very rusty, exhaust tanks connections, estimate remove and replace the fuel tank, air tank exhaust system, foam repair 4623. The foam leak time and materials approximately $170, so we have $4,800 roughly to bring in engine 1 to compliance, of which the DOT issue was the exhaust leak. Okay, engine 3 is the 2006 Pierce, failed the DOT for a brake air leak, parking brake quick release valve. When the parking brake was released was leaking, that was repaired by the town crew. Non-DOT issues were fuel tank rusting, rear suspension springs fatigued and sagging. Frame rails also rusty. Number 1, discharge gauge leaking the dampening fluid. Number 2, discharge valve slightly under vacuum test. Pump did pass the vacuum test, however. So at that point in time, there is no repair estimate on the springs, although they are on order from Fiber 34, is that what it is? That's the main thing we're gonna have to fix. From our experience, Chief, do we know what those were?
I guess we haven't replaced the bigger trucks, springs lately. He was just over last week, the end of the week, and measured them all up and was getting them from Wausau Spring, which is considerably cheaper than getting them through,
Pierce, or
through Pierce or.
wherever
even
the
through
manufacturer of the
International,
chassis is.
so.
Okay, ladder 1, the 95 Pierce failed the DOT for left brake chamber not fully releasing. Right brake chamber clevisant was bottomed out against the chamber, non-DOT issues. Front and rear suspension strings fatigued and sagging. Air dryer appeared to be original and should be serviced according to the notes. Radiator core deteriorating, moderate rust noted, especially in tank frame and frame rails. Voltmeter on pump panel broken, inoperative. Ladder 1, if you flip to the second page.
You get that Sterling on the bottom.
No, I'm talking about the price
Oh,
of the
just
bid.
okay. Sorry.
Rear axle brake chamber replacing front and rear suspension springs, air dryer, radiator pump panel voltmeter, excuse me. Estimate to remove, replace rear brake chambers of front and rear springs, air dryer, voltmeter, and approximate cost, and the radiator, excuse me, $12,967. And that did not include the radiator, which radiator is estimated to be $1,700, I guess. Okay, tanker 2, 2001 Sterling,
14,667.
14 what please?
667.
Okay, tanker 2, 2001 Sterling failed the DOT for left spring making contact with the frame rail bolts and body hold down bolts. Non-DOT issues are
Can't get a quote for that.
No, because it's repaired by the town crew, it says.
okay.
That's a done deal.
Non-DOT issues were repaired, okay. So do we have other services to do to tanker 2, Don?
Oh, there is a non-DOT for tanker 2.
Oh,
Right.
water tank, frame and body severely rusted. It didn't roll quite correctly to the,
The stainless and repair quote is for tanker 2.
okay. So that repair is the pricey one. And you repair the bottom of that cradle,
That's.
22,495.
$22,495, $22,495.
Yep.
22,495.
So that is just for tanker 2? The 22,495 is just the tanker 2
Just the- Yeah, and
frame and body, water tank frame and body?
where it's the mounting equipment that attaches the stainless tank to the frame of the truck. That's
Okay.
the severely rusted part.
Okay.
Tanker 3, the 2000 Sterling failed the DOT for exhaust leaks under the cab. The retarder V-clamp connections and muffler. Non-DOT issues where the busted body is rusting, rotting out. It was repaired by V&H, that exhaust leak went up to there, and that was done under the current. That number was what, Don, do you recall? I know I saw the invoice, but
I haven't, so
didn't, I thought we talked about it.
I never had an invoice, so.
No,
From V&H.
still waiting on that one, huh? Okay. The 94 Chevrolet equipment truck, reservoir is moist with fluid, cap loose, cleaned and resealed, rear suspensions fatigued and sagging, and U-bolts rear springs are gonna need to be replaced again. And the 1998 mini pumper, no deficiencies noted.
Yay.
Hey, could you read that one again, please? Wow.
This one's on.
So is anybody keeping tally?
Yes.
Of course. I think it's what's-
I guess, Arnie, you know,
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
the stuff on engine 3, the squad truck, and and tanker 3, like you say, those are things that I felt we would have enough money in this year's budget to get done, to get, you know, everything out of what we have. The other ones are bigger ticket ones that obviously are gonna put us over budget. For our repairs, you know, I guess in regards to the tanker, the biggest item one, like you say, it was noted by Red Power when they came to do the annual inspections. I had service or stainless and repair who built the tankers and who, you know, that's their specialty, is building these milk tankers and stuff. They came down. I guess their opinion is if the truck stays on the road and is going down the road, the tank isn't gonna fall off before spring. You know, that it could be a budget item. The drawback to it, he said, if it's involved in an accident, the rust that is on the frame, he said there's a high likelihood that the tank would end up separating from the truck. He said it's rusted to that point that he said if you were to wait till next budget year, that'd be fine, as long as nothing happens to it between now and then. He said otherwise, he said, I would suggest you take the truck out of service. He says if it stays up on its wheels, you know, it was out on the fire call today, functioned just fine, but nothing went wrong. If we want to try to put it in as a budget request for next year, I guess, you know, as long as it makes it through. If it doesn't make it through, chances are the truck will be taken out of service.
So that's tanker 2 right now.
Yeah. 3 is the one that we had rebuilt last year. The one that we had all the work on the back end. They changed all of that
Yep.
stainless. They did a lot of repair and stuff to the cradle and stuff on that one even. What they could without doing a complete rebuild, which is what they spec'd on this. Yeah. So,
Are we gonna end up someday doing 3 the same way, you think? I mean,
probably, you know, I mean.
So down the road.
Yeah, we bought some time with what we repaired last year. I think we stuck 7,800 or something in it last year when we had that back end, all the rust repair and stuff. We, you know, did some improvements on it, but
it's something to keep in mind.
yeah, it's like everything else. It's everything on this list is corrosion related.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was looking at this, as an example, E1, which is this Sabre, the Pierce, the only DOT issue is the exhaust leak under the cab, which would be like a flex pipe with 2 clamps in order to get that repaired versus the, where you had $4,793. Those were non-DOT issues. So in order to fix the DOT issue, that would be approximately $200. I'm guessing even if you go with a stainless steel flex pipe with stainless steel clamps, that would be approximately $200 just to get that particular item DOT certified, right?
I guess if you can find a place that'll do it for $200, I'd be
Well, I'm
happy
just
to take,
saying, you know, the
Yeah, I'm just
cost-
saying.
I know
We were
the
looking at
parts-
the-
We have no
parts
idea
of
how
it.
much.
Yeah,
You know,
right, so,
it might be from one end to the other, it's gotta be replaced. We, you know, they didn't
Yeah.
specify how much of it needs to be
yeah,
replaced. so-
usually, where the, you know, like you say, it is measured by the foot, it's sold, but by the foot, flex pipe and clamps, so, or the clamps are sold individually. In order to get that particular item, let's say, even worst case scenario, $500, including, it's less than that, $47.93. On the Pierce, same issue for air brake system, which was already repaired by the town. So that's a done deal as far as getting that DOT, you know, certified. And I see on the arrow, a couple of brake chambers along, you know, fixing the brake chambers on that. Just fixing the brake chambers in order to get that DOT'd certified versus $14,667. That's what I was looking at more. The importance of this right now would be to ensure that we get the vehicles DOT ready. Do you agree with that? That's the amount, I mean, those.
Correct,
amounts would
yeah,
be-
we don't have to repair any of the other items until the fuel tank falls out the bottom of the truck and, you know, which happened to one of Rudolph's this morning. So, yeah, the DOT items are the only things that are required, the rest of them, we don't need to have the trucks, you know, we don't need to have the springs repaired until, you know, I guess the problem with some of this stuff, like we always said, if something happens to these trucks and you have the documentation that you ignored the recommendations, that's when you'll make the decisions as to what happens there.
Well, and the spring fatigue and that sagging, I think that is important because of the fact that, like you said, if it would come in contact with the tires or something to that effect, spring, you know, a sagging spring, that is part of annual inspections for DOT.
Are you talking about engine 3 right now?
That would be L1, where they
Wow.
Okay.
noted that the front and rear suspension had fatigue, springs and
If you
sagging.
remember last year, Don and I went to the place and we ended up on a lift and we took 30 or 40 pictures of what the underside of it looked, and the repair estimate was like $74,000, and we kind of said, let's wait and see, maybe we'd have something in the next couple of years that would replace it, and that way we would save some money. Well, now it's coming back and we're saying, well, there are some more issues that we should address. And if we're going to keep these pieces of equipment in service, whether we spend the money in September or October or January, February, March, it's still town residences' funds that are paying for it. Whether we take it out of reserves or we take it out of next year's budgets, the costs are there. So to put something off that we already know, these are pretty serious deficiencies, as indicated to another fuel tank issue on trucks. That's what we get up against, is the rust and the corrosion, and these things are not cheap to run, and we know that. That's why we have to get it repaired. Bill, what's your thoughts?
So this is an annual DOT inspection.
Right.
And what happened last year with that year's 2013's inspection? Do you have a copy of that? I mean, were these things all listed?
No, the things that were required to be repaired last year were repaired. This is this year's inspection. Every time they come through, you know, like I said, we just had the ladder testing and the aerial inspection and everything was done yesterday. Things that didn't show up last year showed up this year. You know, we've got some minor repair work on the ladder itself, but that should be relatively minor stuff, hydraulic line and a couple little odds and ends. But you know, like I said, this is stuff that, you know, a lot of the things on especially on the ladder, you know, I will agree. You know, do we need to replace all this stuff if we're going to look at replacing the truck? No. If we're going to keep the truck, it's stuff that, you know, if it's showing up on inspections when the mechanics come and look at it this year, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to go away. You know, like you say, the $70,000 to rebuild the whole thing, that was a refurbishment and tried to, you know, slow up the corrosion issues and stuff we have. A lot of these things would have been replaced in that quote from last year to do the refurb on it, but we chose not to do the refurb on it last year, and you know, it's all stuff that just keeps coming up. Like you say, the difference between these trucks and every other truck out on the road, these trucks are sitting fully loaded 98% of their life. The only time they get unloaded is when we take the water off them at a fire, and we fill it right back on. You know, so these trucks, the springs are a high maintenance issue on them. because they're sitting at full capacity 24/7 all day, every day of the year. And that's what wears on them, and like I say, we've replaced springs every year that one truck or another has been going in for repair work and stuff on them. It's part of the stuff. They get the corrosion starts working on the springs, they start sagging. Like I said, these are the recommendations from the mechanics that looked at the trucks every year. It's the same company, Red Power, who is the repair shop primarily for Pierce Manufacturing and stuff. They're the guys that have done our maintenance for the last 25 years that I know of, so.
I was looking at July's expense report, and we're under, you've done a good job as far as keeping it under the budget. Currently, fiscal year to date actual is at 51,000, and the fiscal year, we totally budgeted 94. So if a person would end up go ahead and fixing all of this, that would end up making you, like you said, over budget, and we still have several months to go. If something else would go on, that would happen. So that would be one of my concerns about going through with all of this. I totally agree about getting everything DOT up to snuff. I'm a firm believer about that and safety. So some of the other things like our performance issues where recoiling a radiator for that amount of money, I think it was like $1,700.
That was just for the radiator hoses.
Yeah, right. I'm a little
Oh.
right. So, being that I am in the trucking business, also I understand about recoring the radiators, and that seemed to be a little bit high priced, but.
I guess, one thing that you have to keep in mind, Patty, is we're not doing this at our shop. These trucks have to be certified emergency vehicle mechanics.
Mhm.
You can't even just, a lot of this stuff doesn't even just go to a V&H or somebody like that.
Right, and I
That's the
was
big difference,
thinking about that too, if there were some of these different repairs that a person years ago, didn't we have one of the firemen actually do some of the repairs on the fire trucks? We had a fireman that used to be able to do repairs on them years ago. Okay.
Now, 25, 30 years ago, yeah, they used to rebuild the trucks.
And town crew does some of the work.
They do some of the stuff,
It's
but.
the minimal.
And that's why I've got Highway 34s doing some of the stuff, like the spring work on the ladder truck. He looked at it, he's not even interested in doing it, because there's so much plumbing that has to be taken apart underneath the truck to get the pins out. He said, I'm not even interested in doing it, I can't take that plumbing system apart. He said, I don't even want to give you, he said, I won't do it. So
The
that's
thing
where.
about Red Power too, Don, is they actually put these up on a lift. They have lifts that they'll lift them up on, and you can actually, it's a lot easier to perform the repairs rather than trying to work under as a creeper as we do in the trucking industry all our lives.
Like I say, anything other than, the DOT stuff, we can get that done. I just want to, I got the stuff. If you want to put in as a budget request, we can do that. If you make the decision not to fix it, then that's fine with me.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I just wanted to add my 2 cents, and that is that I'm comfortable with postponing any decision on the ladder truck. That's the L1, right? The aerial ladder truck.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that we are investigating options of what we're going to do with that. So I'm okay with if we postpone that decision for some time, because as long as we fix the DOT portion, I should say, we need to have actual, obviously, DOT compliance. But the engine one is a minor cost to make sure that we have a high-quality apparatus out on the road. I'm not, that doesn't concern me. And so to me, in my mind, it's like looking at this tanker too, and what risk are we willing to take if, as the chief describes, the water tank's hanging on there now, but what if it falls off in the middle of a run to an emergency, and then we aren't able to provide a service to that home because we don't have that water tank. I'm inclined to look for some advice from those who know the equipment and use the equipment and have experience with that, which would fall to you and you.
And
I can go in, right? That 70,000 that we had tentatively set aside for repairing the ladder truck.
We didn't
We
set
didn't
aside
do
that.
it? We didn't, or were we gonna borrow that?
You
Is that-
made no decision.
we made no decision. It was a budget line request that was not fulfilled.
Okay, that's where that, I knew we tossed that around and I wasn't quite sure where that ended up on the scrap heap.
Well, I don't know if it's a scrap heap, but it was,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, the.
Cutting board
Ah,
is
the
more like
cutting
it.
board, there you go. My feelings are engine one is an absolute necessity. That is our primary engine. That goes on, Don, we did 90% called, would you say, and that is our,
Goes on every structure.
yeah, and, I mean, it is our primary engine. I think that is minimal in that, to fix the whole thing, that one. You know, this 5-year plan that, again, we're gonna get to later on, and I said it in the meeting, we have to address the trucks in general, maintenance and replacement, you know. That tanker, I agree, whether we do it now and take it out of next year's budget or do it out of contingency, I guess I don't, that I think, because if you look at that truck, we have 2 primary tankers, okay? And they are both utilized to the fullest. Now, when is the replacement on that? I don't know. I mean, that again, I think will be in our plan, I hope, but at some point, but in the meantime, I think those 2 are absolutely crucial. You know, obviously the DOT, agree with everybody on that. And, you know, we need both those tankers. Now, we have, you know, if it would go down or whatever, we have mutual aid. You know, the citizens don't have to be worried. We will get water. There's enough place around, but we still, as part of our equipment, need those 2. I'm not gonna go through the whole list, but that's 2 of my main ones. And again, the ladder, I agree, the DOT is an issue, and
I think I'm agreeing with Dan for the most part. We need to spend the $23,000 on the tanker. I'd like to do it ASAP. I'd like to repair engine 1 as projected. The springs on all the trucks that have been noted, those springs, as the chief said, he thought would be able to come in under their current budget. The ladder truck, I'm more concerned of a fuel tank rusting off than a radiator springing a leak. Fuel tank rusts off, there's more chance for compensatory damages than, or is there not a?
No, no,
No,
no.
okay,
That
then
one's just the
that's
red chamber.
engine 3, the fuel tank
Yeah.
rusting. And that's a 2006. And we know that one's gonna be around a long time. So I'm thinking that we're in the neighborhood of 30 to 35,000 of repairs that I would consider primarily we need to address, whether they come out from other line items or come out from the contingency. I guess the safest thing is to take it from contingency, and if we don't use the money, we put it back towards next year's budget.
So the chief said that engine 3 is covered within your budget, what minor costs need to be incurred for that. And
is that the whole
is that,
the whole laundry list?
No, engine 3 was just,
The springs.
we were
oh,
gonna
just
do
the
the springs.
springs, okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, so we don't know what the cost would be for addressing
I
the
didn't
fuel
get a
tank
price
issue
from
or
on doing
anything
the
like
tank and that stuff.
that.
I mean, I looked at the tank, is it rusting? Yes. Is it rusted to the point where, is it even close to what engine or ladder 1's was last year when we replaced it? No.
So
You know,
Okay.
it's a recommendation from them. I guess, you know, like I say, I guess I'm content with doing the DOT issues for this year. If you want all the stuff to go, you know, be in the budget, that's up to you. I guess, I just want some direction, so, you know, like you say, you have.
And I'm comfortable
All
with
the
that,
DOT
although when we've been told that a tank is not stably mounted, I think we need to address it.
Me too.
I just get gung shy about those things that could cause difficulties.
And again, I have no problem with taking out next year's budget, but we have the money in our contingency to fix it now, and it needs to be fixed now. We don't know when it's gonna get in an accident. Hopefully never. Hopefully, you know, I mean, pray to God it doesn't, but there's always that chance.
So it sounds like there's a significance placed on replacing engine one deficiencies as noted for approximately 4,800, replacing deficiencies on tanker two as noted, approximate cost 22,495, and to replace or repair the DOT deficiencies noted on ladder one. And that cost is yet to be determined because it isn't going to be that full amount they gave us, because that full amount includes the non-DOT issues, is that correct?
Yeah, the brake chambers and stuff are not gonna, you know, the DOT stuff on ladder one is not gonna be significant. You know, it's gonna be with labor, if it's $1,000 bill, I'd be surprised.
On ladder one?
Yeah. You know, the brake chambers are standard, it's just a matter of, you know, a few hours in the shop and,
For the DOT
Yeah.
part, maybe
Yes.
1,000. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we repair the deficiencies for engine one as presented. We repair all the deficiencies for tanker two as presented. And we repair the DOT identified deficiencies for ladder one at an approximate cost of $1,000. I mean, we don't know that. I don't know, I guess you can't put a cost in there because we don't know the cost, but for just that DOT deficiency only,
With the money coming from where?
contingency.
It's about $28,288.
28,295.
Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Dan, second. Discussions? Bill, go ahead.
So the ladder truck is included in this?
Only the DOT portion, the DOT required, which was the rear brake chamber and the right rear brake, to the rear brake chambers.
And my understanding is there's only two decisions that can be made on ladder one. Either we replace it or we fix it. And I say park it. No, that's, because in the conversation, I believe Kathy, you made it, said that there's only two things we can do with ladder one is either fix it or replace it.
No, I'm sorry if I let that impression. All I meant was that we're in the process right now of investigating our options of whether we're going to replace or repair. And if we're going to someday potentially replace it, why make the decision to invest some of these costs that are not required deficiencies by DOT standards? So my opinion on that was to postpone that process, that decision, as long as they're not something that has to get done immediately. I don't think we should park it. It was used today. It's not something that, you know, why would we park a piece of apparatus that's necessary in the community?
And, you know, I understand
I had the floor and I really wasn't done yet.
Okay, then go ahead, Bill.
You know,
Just let me know.
And the other thing is why it's an approximate with the motion, why can't it be no more than, and a person has to come back? Since we don't know the real cost of some of these things.
I will amend my motion that the DOT portion cost would not exceed $1,500. If it does, then it needs to come back here.
I would go with.
Second, accept the motion
What's it?
change?
Yeah, can we
Or are
just,
you talking for the grand total bill?
Yes, that's what.
I would like
Okay.
to see the grand total.
Okay, so then the total cost not to exceed
Do you want to withdraw the
$30,000.
motions and restart over?
Yeah.
Springer?
Which the process to withdraw or to amend to add that piece. It's just to amend the motion, everything is exactly the same, with the total cost of repairs not to exceed $30,000.
You got that down, Jim? You got it clear to you? 'Cause it's not quite to me, but I think I got it. All right, so now,
Coming out
Bill.
of contingency.
Right.
You have a second, I guess, yeah.
Dan has to.
Yeah.
So, lost my train of thought. Just a minute, I'll get it. $30,000, not to exceed $30,000, and still to be taken out of contingency?
Yes.
Any other comments, questions?
I guess I just want to reiterate, these trucks, we need a plan. This proves it. We need a long-term plan, and I sure hope that that is a main priority. Not only the upcoming budget, but this 5-year plan.
Okay.
So, just so that I understand what you're saying, that it would be the $22,495
Mhm.
for that. And
Approximately
then the
4,800.
approximately $8,000 for the DOT.
And E1's
Compliance.
repairs.
No, the 4,800 is engine one, approximate 4,800
Right.
engine one, approximate 22,495 tanker two, approximate 1,000 ladder one came to 28,295, so I rounded it up to 30,000,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed.
All right, anything else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed?
No.
I hear 3 ayes and 2 nays. Motion carries. Thank you.
What, may I ask, was this for, Patty?
Just so that a person can sort of see what vehicle inspection reports look like and what DOT inspections actually look like. And I did not know if this particular form is utilized in the DOT, but it just gives you a general idea of what they look at, explanations about
What's required?
springs required.
Okay.
So if you ever want to look and see about, what they look at.
It's a certified process, that you have to be a certified inspector before you can do DOTs.
Is this the one they use? I mean, is this the same stuff that?
They can look similar or they can look.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
if this is.
It just has to have those
Oh, this was
items.
just one that you had. Okay. All right.
All right, we're moving to item 4, discuss amount to pay fire officers when attending meetings and working on development of the strategic 3 to 5 year plan. What did you come up with out of that, Kathy?
Thank you. We had met, the full board met on August 20th, and we met with the fire department officers, and we invited the police and fire commission members to attend and participate as well for strategic planning of the fire department, and that's what Dan was referring to, just previous agenda item, a 5-year strategic plan. And prior to us beginning the meeting and discussions on the strategic plan, I brought up the matter of compensation. The town board in attendance will be compensated by per diems. The police and fire commission members in attendance may be compensated by per diems if approved by the town board chair. But the fire department officers in attendance would not at this point have compensation equal to what the others are receiving, and the time invested in it is beyond just the attendance at the meetings. It's the work that we ask of them and of ourselves to do preparing for the strategic plan. So I had opened it up at the Public Safety Committee meeting and asked for input from the entire board, but we could not take action at the board, at the committee meeting, because it wasn't an actionable item. It needed to come back here. And I had received input from everyone. One of the questions that was addressed was that we wanted to make sure that there was commitment and active involvement by the officers who do participate, that attending the meeting, it doesn't mean just attending the meeting, it means taking some time outside the meeting and coming prepared with your input and such. And so, having said that, I felt that there was committee consensus to bring a recommendation to the board for some type of compensation. I asked the clerk what other committee members do receive, police, PFC, Plan Commission, et cetera. And those committee per diems are $45. So I would like to make a motion that we compensate the fire department officers $45 per meeting for only the strategic planning process. And I had that's my motion. I guess I should say that first, see if there's a second.
Motion been made by Kathy, seconded by anybody? I'll second it for discussion if there's no discussion. So
Okay,
let me get the
so-
discussion going then.
So furthermore, what I wanted to point out is that the intent is that there would be only the fire department officers, and the chief had noted that there are 10 officers, and it would only be for the purpose of the strategic planning meetings. And the meetings, it's my goal that within 4 meetings, we have a plan in place, or we have a plan developed. So it's not something that I intend to drag on. It's not something that, we worked really well the first meeting. We spent a good hour and a half getting together some key components, and I'm not looking for a large investment. And as was pointed out at the meeting, if we were to hire somebody to do a formal strategic planning process, there would be a larger investment than that involved.
Anybody else?
Did you get any answers from the commission who would be interested in attending?
No, I did not. I didn't meet with them directly or talk with them. We just extended, I passed on the minutes today. Last week I was in training all week, so I didn't get to anything with the minutes until today. So the minutes just went on to other POC members.
Because at 10 officers for $45, that of course is $450, and there's 5 supervisors, so that would be $250. Minimum, it would cost the taxpayers $700 per meeting times 4, which would be $2,800 for this meeting minimum, because then there would be the commissioners.
Right. But if we want to invest and have active participation, I don't think it's fair to ask those that are the experts actually in the fire department business to, if we facilitate a conversation around strategic planning, to ask them to attend and not receive some type of compensation for their time and the work that they put in even outside the meetings that they would be in.
Ken?
I agree that there should be some compensation for those officers that are committed to this and committed to this process. I don't necessarily agree with leaving it open to all the officers at that way, because of if somebody walks in, sits down, they're compensated. And I think there are a significant amount of them who are committed to this process, will be working behind the scenes, and there should be compensated, just as any other committee members. I just don't like the idea of an open, just an open door if you walk in. Now, we can say that, well, they won't do that or couldn't do that, but they can. So I would like to see either the chief or the chief and the assistant chiefs put a committee together from the department of, let's say, 6 officers, or even if he wants a general member in there, I guess 6 fire department members to form the representation of the fire department. And then they would represent the department. Whether other people wanted to contribute, I hope they do, but they can bring it to those committee members, and those guys can address the committee. I mean, I would really like to see that, so I don't know what your thoughts are, if you feel we can amend it, if you want to, maybe you don't.
Anybody else?
So your suggestion would bring it down to $420 per meeting? Is that what it'd be, you're saying 6 times the 45?
Whatever it is.
I guess I don't want to strike somebody out that happens to be a shift worker or something and saying, well, we don't, we can't have you come in maybe the other meeting because you've not started from day one. I believe that in anything, even like, for example, the Tribune building process has been going on and on and on and on and on. It hasn't been just, you started from the start, so the rest of you that came in on the second to last meeting, your opinion doesn't hold any water. I believe everybody's opinion holds water whether they can address every meeting or not. I'd encourage them to address the ones that we want. And I really have a hard time excluding anybody that is in the officer regiment of the fire department, because though they are, for the most part, other than the appointed by the chief, they're still elected. We did away with that. We did away with that, yeah. So they've been appointed to the positions that they're in based upon their knowledge and leadership that they've shown for the department. So, go ahead, Don.
I guess I don't have any problem with limiting it to 6. I mean, obviously, it's no different than the firefighters. I have firefighters that are extremely active, respond to everything. I have firefighters that are less than active. And I have officers that are similar. So I don't have any issue with limiting it to 6. Like I said, I guess the majority of them would have been there for free, but I guess I just don't agree that certain people should get compensated, certain people shouldn't. So if they want to attend, they can attend. I guess, I have, the 6 isn't going to be an issue. We're going to have a couple people that aren't going to miss due to shift work and stuff like that, but I guess I don't have any issue with that at all.
Dan, you got something again?
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't make it a point that they have to be at every meeting, because I understand. If they got a shift worker, they're out of town for work, but the commitment from them is there. And so, yeah, if they miss a meeting, I'm not saying they're out or any mean, or even the people who aren't on the committee, their thoughts are definitely taken into consideration, and at any time, we will listen to anybody. It's not just the committee, but I believe the 6 is a good representation of the department.
So I will amend my motion that the compensation of the fire department officers would be up to 6 fire department officers.
Second accepts the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment? No? The amended motion.
I have a discussion, not on the amendment.
Go ahead on the discussion. We have to vote on the amendment, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so to vote on the, is there any discussion on the amending of it, which would be changing it from whatever the number was down to 6? All in favor of the amending the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
2 opposed. All right, now we're taking discussion on the motion as amended. Discussion. Bill?
Yes. As I had indicated in that meeting, that I am not going to put that on my voucher, because I was attending a committee meeting. And for one thing, I do not believe it should be going this way. The fire department, in my estimation, should come up with a 3 to 5 year plan with the committee. And I don't believe they should be compensated for it, because it is a volunteer fire department. And I just don't think this is the way it should go. I can't see why, and I've been told why, they're not coming here with the plan and have the board turn it down. Well, I'm sure the way the votes went tonight, I don't think their plan would be turned down. And I don't believe we should be spending all this money for a 3 to 5 year plan.
That's your comment. Patty, do you have a comment?
After I got to thinking about our meeting, I was thinking about the volunteer fire department, being volunteers, and also my commitment to working in the community. And I do appreciate, taking the stand of paying us to have involvement in this. And that wasn't why I wanted to be involved with it. I myself am not going to take a
per diem on this, because the fact, I just wanted the opportunity to be in the meetings, and if I had something to say about it, to be able to be included with my opinion, so that's where I was with this.
Okay,
That was my thinking
and I
of
said
it.
that to everybody because I didn't know if there was anything that was holding anybody from attending if you're not sitting on the committee. And because the way I took the lead is to go for public safety, as Kathy, as you know, knows the process to do the strategic plans, and has, in my opinion, led us very correctly down the path on our first meeting. Now, can we tune this up, move it along fast and get it through? There's likely all hoods that we could wrap this up quickly. Are there answers that we won't be able to get for that strategic plan? Absolutely. There certainly will be things that we're going to come out of that plan. Here's the idea of the plan, but now to execute them, what are the steps going to take to do it? So, and that's where it takes the whole board to be on base, to be able to say this is a good way that we can support modifying how we do things to accomplish whatever goals we're looking to do.
And one of the things that I sort of envisioned, but this 3 to 5 year plan is just the budgeting and the figuring out of how we're gonna spend the money for the equipment, you know, and that's,
Part of the process.
yeah, that's part of the process, but I thought that that's where we were going to start and, you know, figure that part out. That's where I wanted to have input on that.
And that will come with the planning process. You know, when you do a strategic plan, there are certain steps you take first to get to the next step and then to get to the goals. And one of the goals could be, or would be, more than likely, something that addresses equipment and apparatus and how it's budgeted, how it's maintained, et cetera. So it's not something you would just jump out and say. You first got to figure out what is your mission, what is your vision, you know, and identify those items and then move forward.
And see, that's where I was talking about having the commission also
It
involved
really
in
isn't,
it.
it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Judy, I was just going to bring that to everybody's attention. Let's address what the agenda item is about. I had a bunch of other comments that I was going to, in my mind, talk about, but then I realized it's not where we're at right now. So what's in front of us, and remind everybody, if you choose not to take per diems, that's absolutely your prerogative.
Okay.
And my last statement I'd like to make is if this is approved and then the chief identifies the 6 fire department members, we don't know either if they will or won't take the compensation. They may be like you and say, I don't need that. My point here is I want the involvement, we need the involvement, we need the expertise. And if they are sitting in a situation where coming here or you know, coming to attend a meeting means paying somebody to take care of their kids while they're gone, I just want to be able to say, treat them the same way that you have been treated. And even though you've turned down the per diem, it was what was offered to you.
And this wouldn't be setting precedents down the road. This is just for the 3 to 5.
Right, it's just for the strategic plan purpose of the fire department.
All right, we got the motion. Any other comments on it? All in favor of the motion of offering compensation up to 6 fire department officers to be paid if they so choose to attend the strategic planning? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? 3 ayes, 2 nays. Okay, moving to item 5, which is the Personnel Committee to present the draft of proposed revised town policy for per diem compensation of board members.
The only difference on this, a couple months ago we had met and the town board had met and I presented 2 ideas for per diem compensation, and then there was a question about clarifying what does consecutive mean. So the town board asked the personnel committee to bring this back up. We had met and the personnel committee clarified it in what they proposed that town board members will be compensated for attendance at meetings and seminars at a per diem rate set by the town electorate. A per diem may be claimed for each day of a meeting or seminar. More than one per diem may be claimed in one day if the official attends different meetings that are not held consecutively, with a maximum of 2 per diems claimed. That hasn't changed. Then what we added was consecutive is defined as a meeting called to order within 1 hour of adjournment to another. An exception would be an additional per diem may be claimed for meetings that are held consecutively if the actual combined duration of the meetings exceeds 3 hours in length. That is the only change to what we had discussed at a previous meeting. The backside to this is the same per diem compensation policy that was proposed by Supervisor Clendenning at our personnel committee meeting, which I brought to the town board. And when the personnel committee met the second time, I asked Bill if there were any changes to what he had felt. Did he still feel the same way or not, so that I knew whether to bring that here as an option. And he still felt that a per diem should be claimed for each day of a meeting or seminar. More than one per diem may be claimed in one day for each meeting or seminar the official attends, regardless of time or location, with a maximum of 2 per diems claimed in one day.
Discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to leave the per diem compensation thing the way it is.
And is that?
The one that you worked on, just leave it the way it is.
The way the personnel committee presents it,
No.
you mean?
No, the way it is
Right
right
The
now.
way it is right now,
And nobody knows what.
that
What?
nobody, that
Because
we
it's up to
thought
the
over.
interpretation of the chairman anyway, so why not leave it that way? If he says no, we don't get it.
That's a motion. Was there a second to Bill's motion? Hearing no motion, the motion dies. I believe I would personally prefer to have a little more defined, and I think the option that the personnel committee, albeit biased that I'm on that personnel committee, let me exert that to everybody here, that indicated that we recognize that if the meeting, your time is involved as longer than 3 hours, it was acceptable to have a second per diem if you so choose.
So if the meetings exceed, 2 meetings exceeded more than 3
3
hours,
hours.
then you'd get 2
Right.
per diem. But if they adjourn, that's the exception.
The exception was when it exceeded 3 hours in length, as it was a consecutive meeting that exceeded more than 3 hours in length. Consecutive was defined as a meeting called to order within 1 hour of adjournment to another. So for example, the way this is
Review.
worded, if you went to a 9 o'clock
Order.
AM meeting for some reason, if the chairman sent you to a 9 AM meeting, and then there was another 3 PM meeting, and even if both meetings only took a half hour, you would still claim your 2 per diems if you so choose. But this exception was to provide additional clarification to that consecutive definition.
Okay, and that was for clarification that we talked about for the board of review where it ended at 8 o'clock.
About 2 hours.
7:55.
So it's 2 hours.
Yeah,
It was 2 hours in length.
yeah.
That meeting adjourned, a next meeting started.
Town
If that
board.
next meeting would have went more than an hour, there would have been 2 per diems because it's 3 hours until the length. If that next meeting goes 15 minutes because we had town board business that we just had to quickly attend to, it wouldn't justify taking a second per diem.
I think that would, I think this option number 1 is clarifying a little bit more about the consecutive meetings. And I think it's an economical way for the taxpayers, for us.
I think, I didn't want to jump on you if you weren't done. I apologize if I did. That's the way I felt about it in the past when I scheduled meetings with, for example, your committee and then had a road committee follow up right behind it. I felt as long as I was out that night already, it didn't make no sense to me to have 2 pays that I never did. But if it would have went over 3 hours, that would still be up to my option. But so I
It's
think
still a
this
bit
is
long.
much more realistic to what people would expect. Dan, you have?
Yeah. Clarification on Bill, or Supervisor Clinton. So if we had, in reading this, if we had meetings that were back to back, a person could claim 2 per diems for that? Is that how I'm reading it, or not?
That's not the old way, that's how at the personnel committee meeting, when I
We're
asked.
really discussing option one,
Right.
well, that's the one
Option
that had the
one?
motion.
Okay, so we
So
don't,
we
We're
really
not,
should
right.
Option
So
two
you made a
is
motion.
what you get
You
for
made that as a
attending a
motion.
for option
For
one.
option.
a committee
Okay.
meeting.
oh, okay, I thought we were comparing the two, I just wanted to be
And
clear.
thought we were still.
There was a second to my motion, yeah, wasn't it?
Not yet.
To approve the per diem compensation policy, option 1.
Right.
I'll second
I
that.
made the motion, second by Kathy.
I just,
Okay, so go ahead now if you had a question on that, sorry.
on 1 or 2?
Option
Either.
one. One is the one that's
One
on
is the
front.
one that's before.
So that's the only one we can talk about?
Right.
Okay. No, I don't have questions on 1.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? Did I hear 3 ayes or 4 ayes? 4. Thank you, Patty.
Sure.
All right, we're moving to 6, operator license. Did we have any? No, okay. We're moving to item 7, Grand Rapids Town Board will move into closed sessions pursuant to statutes 19.85, Prin 1, Prin E, deliberating and negotiating on whether competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session to formulate the board strategy for a negotiation of possible extension to current waste collection contract with advanced disposal. Who will make that motion?
I will make it.
Motion by Dan, second.
And
Patty, roll call vote. Joe.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Patty.
I.
Kathy.
Aye.
Arnie, aye. We are in closed session. Thank you very much, Kathy.